Hello, welcome, BOI Meets Wellness community. This is Evolve Benton, and I am back. I'm excited to be back. I took a much needed break to start my company, Speaking for Profit University, where we teach diverse leaders like yourself how to secure the bag and get paid through public speaking and educational consultation. And it's been at least a year, I think, since we've put out an episode, and I've really missed this community. I've never forgot about why I started this space. I started BOI Meets Wellness because I wanted a space to talk about well-being and business, right? So many times we hear podcasts that just focus on the business side, but don't really talk about gratitude, teamwork, mindset, motivation, and love. And that's what the space was for. And I remember when I started it, it was just me, some Apple earphones, and Zoom, right? And we've learned now Zoom is not the best space to create video content. So now we're using a platform called StreamYard. And if you really like it and you love it, I'm going to actually put a link into the show notes so that you can get access to StreamYard and start using yourself. What I love about it is that it's actually free. So you have an opportunity to create content for the free on video, and it also gives you an audio playback. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see that in the description, the link to start your own StreamYard, or if you're listening on the audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts, it'll be in the description. But it's been a year, and I know it's been a year for all of us. The last couple of years have been very challenging to navigate. And today's episode, we're going to spend some time talking about what are 5 strategies that we as creatives, as entrepreneurs, as boys, as people who are born obviously incredible, need to step into as we enter this recession or as we go through this next recession. And I'm really excited to share with you these tips. And I'm also excited to talk to you about wellness. So before we get into this episode, let's get into the introduction of BOI Meets Wellness.
I'd like to welcome you to BOI Meets Wellness, a podcast that discusses the complexities, celebrations, and challenges of building a wellness ritual as a BOI, a person who is born obviously incredible. You are now listening to BOI Meets Wellness with poet, motivational speaker, and wellness lover, Evolve Benton.
BOI, born obviously incredible, especially when you wear it pretty.
All right, folks. Well, welcome back. It's been a while. I hope you all are doing well. Make sure you let me know how you're doing, because this is a space where we can build community and be in conversation. So before we get into today's topic, I really want to start off with what we always start off with, which is a wellness check-in. And feel free, if you're watching, especially on YouTube, just go on and tell me, what is your wellness check-in for this episode? How are you doing? How's life going? And don't forget to like and subscribe, because that helps us grow as a podcast and as a show. So my wellness check-in is that I'm going to be honest with y'all. I have been slacking, especially when it comes to my commitment to fitness. I got married in November, got happy, definitely picked up some pounds that I'm not happy about. I'm going to be transparent with you. And this is just how I feel in my own body and my own self. This is not to shame anyone else about their own experience. I'm speaking from my own experience, and I'm really ready to start stepping back into that and set up a plan and really get into my Mamba mentality, as the late, great Kobe Bryant said. So it really hasn't been the same for me since my friend Sade passed away in late 2021. I feel like that's really when things started to shift. But I know for a fact, if she was here in the here and now, especially with that latest Beyonce album that just dropped, she would want me to keep going and keep growing and to keep moving. So I'm definitely going to be stepping back into that practice of movement. And I'm even thinking about rereading Kobe Bryant's book, Mamba Mentality, because that was something that really helped me to start to shift my mindset around not just fitness and movement, but really around the mindset behind it, right? Because the Mamba mentality really is about tapping into becoming your best self, not about other people and what they're doing, but really about connecting with your own mentality around greatness and what that really means. So I'm going to read that book and step into that. And my mental health has been so much better since I came back from a summer trip I took to Portugal. Portugal was so much fun. If you all have an opportunity to particularly visit Lisbon, I would suggest it. I think that out of all the places I've been on the planet, it probably, besides Los Angeles, which you all know I love Los Angeles. Shouts out to all my folks from LA. That's where I was born and raised. Besides Los Angeles, it really is one of the best places I've ever been. I had the most fun in that space. I was able to really just see myself in so many different spaces. It was very diverse. I mean, as soon as we literally got off the plane, we seen so many Black people. And what was really cool about it was like Black folks that were speaking different languages that obviously were from different parts of the world. And we went to Portugal, my wife and I, because we are in a course called 365 FIRE. And FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And we signed up through this course through a group called Our Rich Journey. And it's a couple named Aman and Christina. And they are from the Bay Area. And we've been following them. We actually started following them before the pandemic, but we've been following them on a more consistent basis. And then they dropped this course to learn how to establish your own financial independence journey, which has been really promising to think about what would it be like for us to be able to retire early, which we're really excited about. So we've been building a plan with them the last year on how we can retire in the next 8 to 10 years, right? And during our time in Portugal, we got to go spend time with them, spend time with the folks that we've been in class with, and really see how they're living. Because what they decided to do once they retired was to move and now reside in that amazing place. They reside on the Silver Coast of Portugal, but when they first moved there, they actually lived in Lisbon. So we went, they did a bunch of meetups, and we got to meet them and go to different locations and have conversations around financial independence. But what was amazing about Portugal, I'm just going to share the 3 things that I really loved about our trip so that y'all can get excited and maybe y'all will join us when we go back next summer. So the first thing is that we got to meet our mentors, right? We got to meet our mentors, and we got to come together with folks who are really thinking about independence and finance on a different level. I remember talking to my colleagues at my 9 to 5 about this, and people being like, you can't retire early, right? So I think anytime you can be in a space where people are having a conversation that you don't normally have is really powerful. And the fact that that space was filled with people from around the world, not just people from California, not just people from Lisbon, but people from around the world. So that's the number one reason. And we got to meet our mentors. I mean, I got to hang out with people that we've been learning from on YouTube the last year and really meet them in the flesh and have conversation. And it was just really cool. The second reason why I love Lisbon is the cost of living is just so reasonable. I mean, my wife and I, we had a lunch for, I believe, 15 euros, and it had 2 meals, 2 drinks. It was good. It was scrumptious. It was fulfilling. And when I think about being here in the Bay Area, one has to eat for like $20 usually when you go out for lunch, right? So it was probably like half the cost when we think about food. I mean, we went and had wine and pasta and different meals, and meals were maybe like $40, $50 when it was dinner, right? And we were still able to have like $2-3 glasses of wine. I mean, it was just so reasonable. I keep telling people it felt like being in Mexico, because that's, where we travel being here in California, but like the Mexico, I guess, of Europe in a way. And the other thing was transportation. We took a lot of private cars where the cost was maybe $3 to $8, and we went distances. I mean, 20, 30 minutes out up in heels everywhere else. And it was so reasonable. And we didn't even get a chance because this was our first time really out since COVID-19. We didn't really get on public transit. We were really nervous and not ready for that. But I heard that the public transit was even less for you to get around, and it's very much reliable. So when we go back next summer, I know that that's something that we're going to try, is the public transit system, and maybe even getting on. They have a fast train there that takes you to the different cities in Portugal. And thirdly, the reason I loved it was really because of the wine, y'all, and the drinks. I mean, I got to try some really unique wine. We got to try a green wine, which was really tasty. It was very similar, I could say, to a Chardonnay, which was cool. But it had a different kind of aftertaste, which was really exciting. And we brought some home, so we're gonna, have that as an experience. But that was really cool. And then we got to try this local drink called ginger, and I am absolutely in love with it. It's really like this really sweet brandy. And what's really cool is that they have like these cherries in it that you got to be careful with, because they do have a pit in them. So if you crack down on it, you can crack your teeth, but it absorbs a lot of the taste. So when you get to the cherry, it's like this really sweet, tart taste that's just amazing. And what we learned about it is that it's like a medicine that they use in Portugal that people drink throughout the day. So people will come at lunch and get them a little shot of ginger. They might come in the morning, right? And when we went, it was like late at night. Like maybe we went back and it was maybe like 11 o'clock at night. It was still open and people were still having their ginger. So that was really cool. You have to make the time to visit Lisbon. It was an amazing trip, and I really probably will do another episode later on just about the trip and FIRE in general, because I think that is something I want to share with you all. Just what is our plan? What is our financial independence plan? And how can you start to set yourself up for success? So that's a little bit of my wellness check-in. And like I said, please check in with me. I would love to hear how you're doing. What did you get to do this summer that has brought more good energy into your life? I think travel is always something for me that really supports me with my mental health and my well-being. So I'm just very thankful that I had the opportunity to do it and to meet my mentors. So next, I want to get into a business win, right? Because I always want to talk about business. This is a business podcast, right? We meet with business owners. We meet with people who are even employees, but even if you're an employee, you're in business, you're in someone else's business, and we talk about well-being and we talk about mindset. But I want to talk about business wins. So this week, I'm celebrating hiring a new team member that I really enjoy working with. Onboarding someone can be really cumbersome, but when we create processes and policies that help for a lifetime, it's worth it. So the last few weeks, onboarding our new team member at Speaking for Profit it's been work for me, in the front end. But now that I see what her name is Michaela, so shouts out to Michaela, what Michaela has been able to do to really move our brand forward has been really powerful, helpful, and I don't regret it. And I'm just so excited to have her on the team. So shouts out to Michaela, shouts out to anyone who's hiring new team members and having the ability to grow their business. And I'm also celebrating that one of my favorite clients launched her coaching program. So shouts out to my client, Dr. Christine Coleman, had an opportunity to launch her coaching program through one of our programs, which is called the Wealthy Digital Society. So in Speaking for Profit, once our clients have learned how to really master the art of public speaking and educational consultation and have built that brand and built that business and are making money, the next step to that is creating a course, a coaching program, something that's a little bit more asynchronous that they can build so that they don't have to work as hard, right? Because one of the keys to Speaking for Profit and even Speaking for Prophecy and the way that we've built out this business is to support people with building something that's profitable and sustainable, right? We don't just want people that are making money, but then they're burnt out and they don't get to spend time with their families. So Dr. Christine had the opportunity to launch her coaching program and made about, I think, $22,000 from that. And I just really love supporting people getting into the act of service and creating businesses that have integrity and that are going to create major impact. So while the financial wind is like the thing that I think is like sexy and that makes people excited, like, oh, I can make $20,000 in the next like 8 weeks, which is great. And she put in the labor for this, a labor of love. I think what I'm more excited about this experience for her is that she's doing it to support women of color and to make sure that they're able to thrive and have relationships and businesses that thrive. So the impact that Dr. Christine is going to make through this program for all women of color, especially those who are busy business owners or busy executives, and the way that it's going to impact the lives and the relationships that they have with their friends, family, and loved ones is what I'm excited about. So that's my client win that I wanted to share with you. Peace, family. Are you waiting for the right time to start your online business? If so, I've got some exciting news for you. Kajabi, the platform that I use to power Speaking for Profit Academy and also BOI Meets Wellness digital products, has brought back one of their best deals of all time. 3 months of the industry's top online business platform for only one payment of $99. That's 3 months to monetize your content and turn what you know into an online course, coaching program, membership site, subscription, or a podcast. You can also build websites, create marketing campaigns, collect payments, and more. And because Kajabi is an all-in-one platform, you don't have to worry about how to piece together it next and make sure that it's all connected. If you ever thought about starting an online business but aren't sure where to begin, this is an opportunity you don't want to miss out on. Use the link below to get 3 months of Kajabi for only $99, y'all, which is a steal and really a deal. So use this link to get it. I can't wait to see what you build in your business. As you may have guessed, the link above or below is an affiliate link. And of course, I earn commission as a Kajabi partner if you choose to sign up. However, I want you to know that I only recommend products that I trust, love, and use for myself. So I hope that this allows you to build towards your financial independence and build a business online that allows you to work from anywhere. Peace. So now let's get into today's topic, right? Which is the big R, the recession, right? That's at hand right now as we speak, right? As you listen to this episode, I'm sure that this week that it drops is probably something new that has came out about the recession. I mean, stocks are very radioactive, as I want to call them. They're very active. They're very toxic right now. They're very up and down, right? You could wake up and your portfolio looks like, ooh, I love it. And you could wake up the next day and be like, boo, what happened? When we think about the housing market, we're seeing a decline in mortgage applications being put in because the interest rates are so high and people are like, yo, I can't afford this anymore, right? We're seeing an inflation of food. Gas prices are still at a higher level. So when we look around our economy, it feels like it. And I remember distinctly in 2008, 2007, this was around the time I got out of undergrad, when we had another recession here in the US. I remember this feeling of everything feeling like it was at a really high level. Like it was just like everything just felt like we went outside and it was like, I want to go back inside because it's so expensive. And I even remember going to buy salmon. And at that time, could go and get like a pound of salmon for maybe like $6.99. And I remember when I got out of college and I was going, it was like it had went up to, I think, double that. So it was like $14, $15, right? And you just start to see the creep up of pricing as inflation hits. So when we look this up on Google, right, like what is a recession? It says a period of temporary economic decline during which trade and industrial activities are reduced, generally identified by a fall of the GDP in 2 successive quarters. So we just had a report, right, that came out that we're not in a recession, because they were saying technically we're not, because it hasn't been 2 quarters. I don't know. They were saying it has to be 3 quarters. They were just trying to change the definition of what that is, right? And I was listening to a really amazing podcast called Brown Ambition, and shouts out to Tiffany and Mandy. Those are the 2 hosts on Brown Ambition. And they were just talking about how, they don't want us to know that we're in a recession, because that does shift the way that people spend. But there's some behaviors that we have to shift, right? We have to shift for ourselves, because we can see the writing on the wall and the economy is already starting to affect us. So here are my 5 suggestions on how we need to shift our mindset as we step into this, right? Because when it comes to finance and money, what I've learned the last few years as I'm doing my healing work around it, and the reason I say we have to do healing work around it is because you can literally make more money and not see it if you haven't done your healing work and haven't set up systems. So mindset is going to shift a lot in your bank account before even activity. You can go out and you get a new job. You can go out and you can learn a new trade. You can learn to trade, right? Money, and you can learn to trade foreign currency. You can learn to trade stocks. You can learn to be amazing real estate agent and buy up all the properties, and you can do all these things. But if your mindset around it doesn't shift, you will eventually self-sabotage. And that's why we see so many people saying, I make $80,000, I make $200,000 a year, which to me sounds like a lot of money, right? But when they sit down and look at their bills, they're overextending, they're overspending. They don't have a system set up because they haven't shifted their mindset. So I believe that the first thing we must do before we even start to shift our behavior is really start to shift our mind and do some healing work around money. So let's talk about the 5 mindset shifts that need to happen and what I believe will help us come out on the wealthier side of this recession, because I really want us to shift our mindset. And what I've been trying to do is shift my mindset around what a recession is. When I was growing up and my family would talk about a recession, it really much came from a place of we need to tighten up and fear, when really a recession is a shift and an exchange of wealth when we think about it, right? This is an opportunity for folks who don't have wealth to get it. And this is an opportunity for folks who are wealthy to get more. And this is opportunity for folks who are fearful to let that anxiety and fear move them more into the bracket of being poor, to be honest with you, because one stream of income is too close to none, right? So mindset, the number one mindset shift that we need to have to make it out of this recession with wealth is to stop overspending and start bartering. So one of the things that we've seen is that people overspend, right? We buy things that we don't need. We might go out to eat a little bit more than we need to, go on trips we don't need to go on, buy cars. Like if you got a car at home, your car at home is fine until it's not, right? Especially during this recession, because even the cost of cars, like I seen a Camry that was $50,000. Why are we spending that much for a Camry? I will never. Like, what are we doing, right? So being able to not spend as much, right? Not saying you got to just not have a good time. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is tracking your spending on a budget and keeping it to what you say you're going to spend. And then being really resourceful and being willing to barter. So one of my clients right now, actually, that I'm working with, has this system that they're building out called strength-based VIP days, where they're helping businesses really tap into their strengths. And what they've been doing the last few weeks is actually meeting with business owners for free and tapping into like, okay, I'll give you this session for free if you help me with my email marketing, or I'll give you this session for free if you give me some free tea from your business. So doing a sense of bartering, which causes us to exchange resources instead of exchanging money so that we can hold on to our money, because cash flow is king, queen, and goddess when it comes to a recession. Having the cash to be able to invest in opportunities is going to be really helpful for us. So if we can hold on to it and do less spending, that would be really helpful. So that's the number one mindset shift. Stop overspending and start bartering. Number two is to step into the power of cooking at home and meal prepping. So this is something I'm really excited about. I'm going to be slowing down the next few months. And during this slowdown, I'm excited to really build a relationship with food and with meal prepping and with having an opportunity for it to be more regular. And I remember during that 07, 08 recession that we had, really sitting down with even my grandmother. My grandmother always had a deep freezer. That was something she always had when we were growing up. And even now that I think about it, my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, when I speak about my grandmother, I speak about her often because she's the one I had the most relationship with. But her and my paternal grandmother, great grandmother, my dad's mother, had deep freezers. And the reason they had this, right, is because they grew up during the Great Depression when resources were really low. And this is some habits that they learned. So being able to meal prep and prep food and the longevity of our food is going to be really important as we move through this. And the other reason why I say this is because I remember during COVID, when COVID hit, there were so many people who had cooking and recipe pages who blew up because we knew we got to see that so many folks in our community didn't know how to do anything beyond maybe boil an egg and boil a hot dog. Like they really had no cooking skills. They were relying on food services like Uber Eats and DoorDash, and that gets expensive after a while, right? So knowing how to cook and prep your food so that you don't have to spend so much to eat out, but also so that you can be resourceful is going to be really powerful. I don't know if you all have seen it, but we are also in a food crisis. You know, with the wars that are happening around the globe, food isn't being transported in the same way. With climate changing the way that it is, food isn't being grown in the same way. So while we're learning how to, meal prep and cook our food, also learning more and stepping into growing our food, I think is going to be something that's really, really important for us as a people. And it's going to be a mindset shift that we need to have as we move through this recession to make it out with wealth. So that's number two. Step into the power of cooking at home and meal prepping. Number three is that you want to change your savings account as interest rates go up. And what I mean by that is you might have a savings account that was giving you a really low percentage and it hasn't went up, right? Because it's just stagnant. But what we see is that as interest rates go up, the amount that you can save in a money market account, in a CD, in a high interest savings account has increased as well. So when we were at the lower percentages, right, where interest rates were maybe at like 2 or 3%, you couldn't even get 1% of savings in your saving account. But now we're seeing 2, 3, even 4% on certain savings accounts. So look at that savings rate that you have. And if it's not very competitive, move that money, especially if it's money like, you're going to hold on to your emergency savings, maybe, right? Because you want to have access to that. Move that to a money market or a high yield savings account that has a better rate. These are the things that we can do right now, right, to shift and to make more money on the back end. Because ultimately, if our money is making more money and growing, that's more money that we can use to invest into our financial independence and our financial freedom. So I always say this, and until one of these banks are one of our sponsors or one of our supporters in a way, I don't have allegiance to no bank. I don't have allegiance. I have allegiance to the bank that's going to save and make me the most money. And I suggest that you have that same type of relationship when it comes to a bank. So check out your savings rates now and see. Some of the banks that I've heard, this is just heard. I don't necessarily know because I haven't researched it enough. I have some of those high yield savings accounts. Definitely Chase. I've heard that they've went up, Capital One. And then if you want to look at credit unions, I think that's a great way. Your local credit union probably has some very competitive rates when it comes to interest rates. So number 3, change your savings accounts as interest rates go up. And number 4, start a simple investment strategy. And as you notice, I use the word simple. And the reason I use the word simple is that we want an investment strategy that we can track and that we know works, because if we're able to track it and keep it simple, the fear is moved away from it. A lot of times when we have fear and anxiety around investing money, it's because we don't know enough or we are not able to keep track with it. I remember when I first started investing in stocks, I was just buying things based off of what I was hearing. It was like, oh, the homie would be like, oh, this cannabis stock is really cool. Go buy it. Oh, okay, I'm going to go buy it. Oh, this stock is doing really good. So it was very much impressionable. I had no idea how the business worked. I had no idea about their profits, their losses. I had no idea about their history. I was just buying, right? So keep it simple. What is your strategy? And one strategy that I learned from Wall Street Trapper, shouts out to him, an amazing resource if you haven't tapped into his work, is that we want to buy, when we're investing, especially in stocks, we want to buy companies that we know and that we use, right? So right now I'm using an Apple device. I'm on a MacBook Pro. I have an Apple phone. I have an iPhone. I got some Apple products right here. I got a mouse, all these things. Why wouldn't I have Apple stock when I'm already invested in them on the other side as a consumer? Right? So keep it simple and purchase the things that you know, the businesses that you know well, and purchase them often, right? Like dollar cost averaging is a great way to do it. You can buy every week, every month, right? Whatever it is, just keep it consistent and you will see that nest egg grow. We don't have to make it difficult or do things that we are not comfortable with. Now, there's so many things that are sexy when it comes to investing, like Bitcoin and trading and all these things that take time to learn, invest in, and study. So if you're not going to take the time to learn, invest, and study it, it's not a simple investment, right? And that moves out of that strategy. So for my new investors, I want you to know that investment is all about time in the market, not timing the market. Right? So get in now, keep it simple, buy things that you know. And if you're not really comfortable with buying individual stocks, which I think are promising, what has been really helpful for me is looking at index funds or ETFs that I can buy. And what's great about index funds is it usually has not just Apple, but it'll have Apple and Microsoft, and it'll have a bunch of different stocks in there for companies that you might really enjoy. And it also will give you an opportunity to invest in companies that maybe you don't know that well, but that are a part of that index, right? But it gives you that safety. And it also gives you an opportunity to invest in multiple companies at one time. So whichever way you go, keep it simple and do it often. And then 5 is to save more than you spend, right? I was reading a quote on the Earn Your Leisure website, and shouts out to Earn Your Leisure. Shouts out to the event they just did, Invest Fest. That was such an amazing event. And later episodes, we'll talk a little bit about Invest Fest and just the strategies that I think Earn Your Leisure uses to really build wealth and support Black folks in particular with building wealth. But not to go on a tangent on them, I just wanted to talk about a piece, an article that they put up where they were talking about the way that we actually build wealth is not through making more money. It's through saving and investing more than we spend, right? So whatever we can do to cut down our bottom line, to cut down our expenses is going to be just as helpful as making more money, right? Because often what we see is people make more and then their lifestyle starts to creep up as well, right? You start making more, you get a good job, you buy a new car that costs more and gives you a car note and more gas. But what happens if you make more and instead of buying a liability, you take that money to make money and build an asset out, right? So really shifting our minds around the fact that we have to work to make more. And that's going to build us wealth, and really understand that sometimes we need to work a little bit less, actually shift our mind, do some work around our mindset, do some healing, do some meditation so that we don't have those impulses to overspend and really value ourselves and value our money and spend less time outward, more time inward so that we can save more and ultimately invest more money, right? And that takes a shift, right? Especially if you grew up in environments like I did that were really proud and amplified consumerism, right? I grew up in Los Angeles, California, where everybody trying to look fly, everybody want the latest thing, everybody want the latest J's. People don't really talk about money in the sense of investing. They talk about money in the sense of spending. And that's a shift, right? And a lot of times we need to do healing around that. We need to do some deep work around it. So one of the things that we've created in BOI Meets Wellness that I want to share with you is we have a money mindset journal, right? And this journal gives you an opportunity to really start to think about your relationship with money, do some of that healing work, and make a plan around the wealth and abundance that you're going to want to build. So if you're interested in that journal, I'll be sure if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in, the description of this video. And if you're listening, it'll be in the show notes. But tap into that because it's something that we've created to be able to help heal our community, to move our mindsets through some of the scarcity and the doubt that comes up when it comes to really learning how to make our money make money, right? Which is the ultimate power in this. So again, the 5 mindset shifts that we need to make it out of this recession with wealth. Number 1, stop overspending and start bartering. Number 2, step into the power of cooking at home and meal prepping. Number 3, change your savings account as interest rates go up. Number 4, start a simple investment strategy. And number 5, save more than you spend. So I hope that these mindset shifts really help you as you begin to grow and not only build your business, but build your life and build a life towards financial independence and financial freedom. So before I go, right, I always want to really support you all with affirming your life and bringing positive energy and positive things into your atmosphere. So we're going to leave off with an affirmation of the week. And the affirmation of this week is that abundance flows my way all the time. Abundance flows my way all the time. Abundance flows my way all the time. I want you to use these affirmations in moments of self-doubt to help you find the motivation that you need. You can repeat this affirmation in the morning when you first wake up, or make it the last thing that you repeat to yourself before you go to sleep. And don't forget to share this with a loved one that might need some motivation. It's a great way for us to share and to be able to be in community. If you would like to be added to a free text list, I send out affirmations every morning to a list of people that need that morning motivation and intentionality. All you want to do is text the word inspire to 323-405-9492. That's 323-405-9492. You're just going to text the word inspire and you'll be put on that list so that I can send you affirmations every morning to be able to really support you in motivating and affirming your day. So thank you so much for listening, y'all. It's so good to be back. I have some really amazing guests that are going to be on the podcast the next few months, and I can't wait to share their stories with you. I can't wait to do more solo episodes just like this one to give you strategies around your money, your mindset, your well-being, and ways that you can continue to amplify your life and your lifestyle. And I'm just so excited to support you in building an incredible life. So, all right, family, this is Evolve Benton. I am born obviously incredible, and I'll see you next week. Peace.
Thanks for listening to Boy Meets Wellness. Stay connected on and off the show by following us online at BOI Meets Wellness. That's boy with an I. Until next time,